if you ask someone in a Catholic church, for example, whether they believe everything that the Pope tells them to believe, most of the Catholics I've met, the ones I grew up with, would immediately say, well, the Pope is the Pope. Do you believe everything your church believes? Well, no, not exactly, but enough. Enough to satisfy whom? Well, who's asking? It's enough to satisfy their decision of whether to attend a different church or whether to continue attending that church, or whether to be a member who is non-practicing, that is, officially a member of the church, sending in a donation once a year for a tax deduction, but not actually attending any of the services. It's an association with beliefs that you assign to yourself at that point. You choose to associate with a church that has a publicly stated collection of beliefs, even though you don't necessarily hold all of those beliefs. By choosing to be a member, you now have an answer to the question who, an identity that is what it is by association. In a similar sort of way, as I was just describing, the association can be assigned by others. Those who think they know what all Catholics are like, or all Baptists are like, or all Lutherans, or all whomever, all Muslims, all Jews. What are they all like? Well, everyone I've met, they're not all like anything. They're a diverse bunch of people in every single case. There are similarities and differences between everybody, between all the different people in their membership. And I haven't found a single congregation in which everybody in the congregation believes everything that the church administration says they should, and behaves in the same way, and dresses the same way, and is the same. They're all different. They all have different opinions. They argue over different points of theology. They argue over dress codes. Also, they argue over whether the church should be involved in this or that public activity, whether they should have a booth at a particular fair coming up, or whether there should be an information kiosk at the local mall where they can hand out brochures about their particular church, whether they should go door to door passing out flyers about their church, inviting people to come on to their Sunday services. All sorts of disagreements, all sorts of differences, none of which are really good or bad, they're just differences. But they're things that are put forward to answer the question of who are you? I'm a Lutheran. Okay, well, that tells me this, supposedly. Well, maybe, maybe not, because there's a lot of Lutherans who don't agree on everything. There's a lot of Catholics, there's a lot of pagans, a lot of New Agers, a lot of everybody who don't agree on everything. There's a lot more diversity. And so when we ask the question who, if you want an accurate answer, you almost have to ask, who is this individual in front of me? And then understand that the individual standing before me is a multifaceted person with capabilities and possibilities and history that I can't even begin to imagine. And that everything they can tell me in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, depending on how long I have to listen and how long they have to talk, is only that much of who they are, because there's even more. If there's a compelling reason to get to know them more fully, obviously you can pursue that. If you don't have that reason and you choose not to get to know them more fully, what it does mean is withholding judgment and not being negative toward them on the basis of this tiny little piece of them that you saw, but letting them be someone who is, to you, mostly mystery. But when I'm checking out at the department store, all I need to know about the cashier is that she knows how to make change, she or he, that they're doing their job, that they're not breaking my merchandise as they're putting it into the bags for me to take home. It's a collaboration, a very limited duration, very limited focus. I don't have to know all of that. So in that sense, it's easier to simply check out, pay for my items, and go. Because I'm aware that I don't know all of that, however, I don't judge them while I'm waiting for them to finish taking care of my order. I don't look at them and say, well, their skin is a different color, so clearly that means they're not as intelligent. Or their hair is a different length, and so that means that they've been to college, or whatever. Those sorts of interpretations would be pure guesses and speculation, and would not necessarily be helpful to collaboration with this person. It's about going through life, meeting people, and letting a person be a person be a person, and not judging, because you and I don't have enough information to make those sorts of judgments. We don't know how intelligent they are or are not. We don't know what their ethnic background is. We don't know what their religious preference is. And because of that, we allow our interaction to be what it is without adding any positive or negative valuation of the person because of agreement or disagreement we think might be there. There are too many times where somebody has been in a situation, and because they think the other person is just like them in some way, they are more kind, more optimistic, more trusting, more friendly than they would be with someone who was significantly different. When in fact, the person who appears to be more like them may turn out to be the less trustworthy of the two. You know, as they say, hindsight is 20/20. Retrospect, looking back on something. After you've already passed it, yeah, you look back and you can see what it was. When we're in the moment, we don't know which it is. And we don't have to be suspicious and cynical. But we do have to recognize how complex the question who is. That there's a lot of pieces to it, and assumptions are not advised. That there's good reasons, because of what we don't know, not to be judgmental.